Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the JC Mosley FC podcast. Before we jump in, I just am here to say a couple quick announcements. First of all, we had a little bit of an issue recording our intro. It didn't quite record all the way, so if it feels a little bit choppy at the beginning, that's kind of why. We apologize for that. Secondly, this episode was recorded before the quarterfinals of both the Euros and the Copa America. But it's being released after some of those games have already been played. So just be aware, you might already know the results of some of the matches that we talked about today. We didn't know at the time of recording. So feel free to share your thoughts and hope you still were able to enjoy our predictions. How are you doing, Christian?
Doing good, man. Always a pleasure to be here and talk about football stuff. A lot of things to talk about, so really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot to get through today. We have been enjoying the Euros. I mean, we haven't been able to watch it as much as we would have liked because the time zone in the US means we're working during the games, but
Yep.
we're still following along. We're still doing the best we can. So we got a lot to talk about for the Euros. We've got some stuff to talk about with Copa America too. It's gonna be good. So let's just get right to it. So we're looking at Group A. The Group A winners were the hosts, Germany. I don't think that was too big of a shock. Switzerland coming in second, and Hungary coming in third. That's a little different to what you predicted. I think I seem to remember.
Yeah, I predicted Hungary to finish first of the group, and then Germany second. I wanted to go for the upset because the way Hungary have been playing has been very impressive. So I thought, they will just make this Euro like a fairy tale for them. But yeah, I mean, Germany, I'm not surprised. I still believe they're gonna win the tournament. So Germany, Switzerland. I mean, they've been very impressive. Honestly, I wasn't expecting them to. I'm not surprised they finished second necessarily, but I wasn't expecting them to go as far as they went. But yeah. So, what about you, Elliot? What were your predictions?
I seem to remember that I had Germany in first, and I think I had Switzerland qualifying as well. I'll be honest, I don't fully remember exactly what my predictions were, and I should have written them down before we hit record. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think, as were a lot of people, impressed by Germany. I mean, they look a good team. They started really well. They pretty much destroyed Scotland, although Scotland made it tough for themselves by getting someone sent off in the first half, which wasn't great. I mean, I don't know realistically that Scotland. I didn't feel like they were going to do well anyway, but to lose 5-1 on the opening day, a little bit disappointing. But Germany were brilliant, I thought. I mean, attacking, everything looked like it was coming together really well. Defensively, pretty solid. I mean, Scotland's goal was an own goal, so it was unlucky, really, how that went in off Rudiger. I don't think he really knew anything about it. So, yeah, and then for them to go through the group, and did they win all of their matches? I think they might have won all their matches.
No, they tied the last game against
the last one,
Switzerland. Yeah, that the
Right.
but what towards the last minute of the game, very last minute.
That's right. Yeah, Fulkrug scored the late equalizer. Okay, it's coming back to me now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, you were saying
No,
something.
I think it was to me this group kind of went as I expected it would. I know I was a little bit disappointed with Hungary. I think they, for whatever reason, they just looked a little bit disjointed. They just looked like they weren't quite ready. And for them, disappointing because I think they are a good team. I think they have a decent squad, but Switzerland have got that tournament experience. I think they've got a lot of players that have played in tournaments before, that kind of know how to get the job done. So that's why I wasn't really too surprised that they went through. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I was very surprised for Hungary, to be honest. They've been really good in the qualifiers, and then the last Euros they did really great too. So I was expecting them to finish at least second in this group. I wanted to go for the upset because I wasn't too sure about Germany. We didn't really know how they were going to come into this tournament because they have been terrible. Let's be honest, terrible the past 6 years essentially. So I wasn't expecting Germany to come in and like even get 7 points. To be honest, I thought we were going to finish second. And yeah, this group. I mean, I'm not very surprised because the better teams qualified to the next round. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We're very exciting to see how far Germany and Switzerland go.
Yeah, we'll get on to the to our predictions for the quarterfinals in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, let's move on to Group B. Um, this was an exciting one, especially with the last day. It could have gone either
Yeah.
way. But Spain, another team that I've been really really impressed with. They did win all three of their games. Um, they just look really good. They didn't concede a goal in the group stages. Scored a lot of goals. Scored 5 goals, about as perfect as you can really expect from a major tournament group stage. And then Italy qualifying in second with a last minute equalizer at the expense of Croatia, which was, I suppose, that I didn't see coming. I'm pretty sure that I predicted Croatia to qualify from this group. Um, I certainly didn't see Croatia finishing with just 2 points. I mean, this is a group of players that's been to a World Cup final, that's
I
gone
mean,
far
me
in
too.
tournaments, but
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Croatia to finish third. I think my predictions was Spain. I mean, I wasn't surprised that Spain was going to finish first easily in this group, and I thought that Croatia was going to finish second. Um, and then I don't know if you remember, like they tied the last two games. They lost the first game against Spain. Um, Nobody's surprised about that. But then
yeah.
they tied at the last minute against Albania, which I wasn't expecting that. And then they also tied towards the end of the game, pretty much the last minute of the game against Italy.
Hmm.
So if they grabbed those 2 points, those 4 points they missed out on, they were gonna finish second of the group.
Yeah.
So Italy, I was kind of surprised. I was expecting them to be terrible this tournament, but I mean they only got 4 points, so it's not really great. But they did the job. At this tournament, the most important is to go to the next round. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter even if you finish third of the group, you can still win the whole tournament.
Hmm.
So Italy did what they had to do to grab the points, and they went through. But yeah, I'm very sad for Modric. It's definitely his last Euros. I think he's like 38 or 39 years old. And then he actually got a man of the match in the last game against
I saw that.
Italy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was on the bench whenever they scored the last minute goal. So that's kind of that hurts. I mean, we both play the sport. We both know
Hmm.
how it is whenever you get off you're on the bench and then your team gets scored on because there's nothing you can do and you're
Hmm.
just watching it. Or let's say you go to penalty kicks and the 5 people miss or whatever. It really hurts, especially with a career that he had.
Yeah.
um, Unfortunately, I don't see Croatia winning anything, but that's the thing about this sport is that international tournaments, even if you don't win anything, you pave the way for the future generations. Like
Hmm.
what Croatia did in the past 10 years is amazing. World Cup final. They've been one of the dominant teams in Europe or in the world. I mean, I would be proud of that. So, sadly for him, but it is what it is. The sport.
Yeah, that's kind of the cruelty of the game. You get the highs and the lows. But yeah, Italy, I was a little bit unimpressed with Italy. I mean, they kind of just really scraped through. And again, we'll talk more about how they did in the round of 16 in a little bit, but um, just not quite coming together. And for the team that, as much as I hate to say it, are the were the reigning champions, um, it was just kind of unconvincing and not great. Not what you expect from Italy when they've, when you think about the great Italian teams and the great Italian players of years gone by. I mean, they were a force to be worried about previously. But as some of their legends have retired, I think they've had a harder time bringing new players through that are at the same level.
Yeah, definitely. This Italian team, I remember early 2000s, nobody wanted to mess with them. They were just unbelievable, beating everybody. Nobody could even come close to them. Unfortunately for them, I mean, it's just how it is. Like generations come and go. Sometimes you're very lucky, you have like really good players, the best players, and sometimes they don't win anything despite all the talent. And then sometimes they win everything. So it's
Yeah,
kind of a hit and miss. But I mean, Italy's always Italy. Whenever you play this, Italy's like four-time world champion. Like, nobody can
right.
take that away from them. So I mean, they did what they had to do. And again, as I told you earlier, like in the tournament like the Euros, it doesn't matter as long as you go through. Even if you tie all the games in a group stage, win one game, whatever points you can get to get through, that's the most important. And they did what they had to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we move on to Group C? Um,
Yep.
I think, I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but this was the most boring group that I think we've seen at a tournament,
It
maybe
was
ever.
it was very
It was
boring.
so boring. It was ridiculously dull and uninspiring, and made me feel like, why am I watching this? This is not the beautiful game. It was so dull. Um, England did top the group. I don't know how we managed to do that because we were pretty awful. Um, just lucky that the rest of the group was worse.
Yeah.
um, and then Denmark and Slovenia both qualified. So Slovenia qualifying as a third place team, and you heard the reason that they Denmark finished in second was because the Slovenian team had one of their coaches booked in one of the games. So
No way.
they finished on the same points, goals, goal difference, the same number of yellow cards for their players. So then the next
Wow.
tiebreaker was the yellow
The
card for
coach.
their coaching staff,
No, that
which is
sucked.
crazy. But
But yeah.
again, like you said, I mean, 3 points was enough to get them through in this group.
Yeah, but when you think about it, I mean that as I told you before that either you finish first, second or third doesn't really matter when you think about it because Denmark ended up playing against Germany
Hmm.
and Slovenia play against Portugal. I mean, Germany and Portugal are right now pretty much at the same level at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean, they weren't really gonna miss out. I mean, I'd rather not play the host team to be honest. So I think they got a better deal here to play Portugal, and I mean, we're gonna talk about it later. They they almost beat Portugal. Very crazy game, by the way. But Denmark definitely, they got what they had to do. But yeah, this group was so boring. Like England, they only scored one goal the whole the three games, and they still finished top of the group. Like they only won one
Yeah.
game. Like that
We
that
won
is just weird, man.
one game and scored twice. So scored against Serbia in that 1-0 win, and then scored against Denmark in the 1-1 draw, which was, I mean, all of England's games so far this tournament have been incredibly painful to watch. I think
Yeah.
even if you're not an England fan, even if you're just a fan of the game, and we've texted about it too, like
Yeah.
some of the England games have just been really embarrassing and disappointing to watch from the team with that level of talent. But we're not going to make this an England episode.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I want to add before we move to Group D is that I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I cannot keep repeating myself about this. Is like in the tournament at the Euros, you just have to go through. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can score 10 goals and still not go through. You can score
Hmm.
10 goals, and if the other team outscored you by 15 or 20, you're still going down. It doesn't matter. So, but yeah, it was very disappointing, and you can tell how much he struggled. I mean, we're gonna talk about the round of 16, the game, how much he
Hmm.
struggled to score, and it's not looking good for England right now. But definitely um, they did what they had to do. They got 5 points. They finished top of the group, which is insane. But they did what they had to do,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was not what we were looking forward to in terms of tournament football.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was kind of boring. But yeah, let's go into Group D. I think
Hmm.
Group D kind of gave us the biggest upset so far of based on our predictions anyway. Um,
Hmm.
I did not have Austria topping this group. This was kind of the group of death, so quote unquote.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, credit to Austria. They won two of their games. They got 6 points. They were only beaten by France through an own goal, which we'll talk more about France here in a minute too. But
Yeah.
they've been great. I think they've done exactly what they need to do, and I think they are the dark horses of this tournament. If we're talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, I told you about that. I told you Austria was going to be the dark horse of this tournament because I just don't know. I just had a feeling on how they've been playing. And then, I mean, France, I'm so disappointed in France. I was expecting them to be top of this group. But again, you go through. That's the most important to go through,
mm,
So they did what they had to do. They got 5 points. They only scored one goal, actual goal in this tournament, which is insane. I mean, this Euros is just weird. I don't know if you
yeah,
saw like the memes online how the own goal is like the
the
MVP of the
top
tournament.
scorer of the tournament
That's
is own
insane. So
goal.
many own
Yeah,
goals.
yeah.
I mean, it's the
Front,
Euros championship. It's not like Gold Cup. Come on, those guys they play in the best clubs in the world. They shouldn't be making mistakes like that. But I mean, it
exactly.
happens.
Yeah, it's just it has been a bit of a strange one, and I think obviously France being World Cup champions 2018, World Cup finalists 2022, they're going to come into this tournament with the squad that they have as well and the depth that they have in terms of the talent of players all in all their positions. You would expect them to have played a lot better than they did. I mean, I almost wonder if people in France are kind of feeling the way that English fans are feeling about England's performances because it's been very underwhelming. Like you said, just the two goals scored, one being a penalty, one being an own goal in the group stages. 5 points. They only won one of their games. A little bit disappointing from them, and that was definitely a surprise. I think Netherlands as well. They're one of those teams to me. I think that looks like they are moving in the right direction. Maybe this tournament is. I don't see them going too far in this tournament based on what we've seen. But come the World Cup, come the next Euros, I think that group of players could be one to watch out for. I think again you know they've scored goals. They've proved that they're able to score goals. They have conceded quite a lot of goals as well. Um, but again, 4 points. I mean, 4 points is gonna see you through. I don't think. I think. Well, we'll talk about it in a minute. But this Euros was the first time a team finished on 4 points and didn't qualify for the knockout. So, well, that's in one of the other groups. We'll get to that in a little bit. But
Yeah, definitely.
for most people, 4 points is going to do it. So Netherlands
Hmm.
qualifying is one of those best third place teams. Um, I think credit to them for doing what they needed to do.
Hmm.
Poland kind of disappointing, but I think
Very
that's
disappointed.
that's how it seems to be at tournaments recently with Poland. They seem to be just not
Trash.
quite coming together.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I'm not trying to make fun of Polish people or like the Polish national team. It's a great team, but I mean, I'm just being honest. They've been trashed lately. Poland. I mean, 1 point. They barely got that point against France. Too. I think they didn't even deserve that point, to be honest. Um, but Netherlands. I mean, I think I predicted this. But I just believe France was going to be top, Austria second, and I predicted that Netherlands was going to be third. I just didn't think they were better than Austria or France. But again, at this point of the game, you just want the points to be able to get you to the next round, and they did what they had to do. But yeah, very
Yeah,
interesting group. France. I mean, Mbappe obviously broke his nose, and he has to wear a mask now, which is very weird. But I mean, he hasn't been great late. After that, honestly, I don't know if you noticed that. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't want to say because of the match he's not playing well. I mean, he's professional, but I just think it's been affecting him. Honestly, he hasn't been as good since that incident.
yeah. I think I read an interview with him too that where he did say having the mask was uncomfortable and it was limiting his vision a little bit, and getting the sweat from his forehead going into his eyes, and it's hard to figure that out when you've got a mask on your face, I suppose. And then I'm sure it definitely does have an effect. But yeah, it has been a little bit disappointing from him too. Although I think France have shown more quality in terms of attacking than England did. Just didn't quite come together for them really in terms of finishing their chances. But I don't know. I know I picked them as my team that I predicted was going to win the whole tournament. I I don't. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced based on what we've seen so far. So we'll have to see, I
Yeah, we come
suppose.
back to them. Should we go to move on to Group E?
Yeah, Group E. This is the one where you just have to feel really sorry for Ukraine finishing on 4 points. So I mean, this group was crazy. All four
Yeah,
teams
it was
finished on
insane.
4 points.
Uh-huh.
Um, who had Romania finishing top?
I didn't see that coming.
That's
I
another.
believe I really thought that it was going to be Belgium and Ukraine. Ukraine was going to come in second, and
Yeah.
then I think I picked Slovakia. Slovakia as one of the best third teams, and they actually finished third.
Hmm.
That's actually the only right adjustment I got here. But Ukraine finishing last with 4 points is awful. I mean, I've never seen that before in a tournament with 24 teams. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Finishing four with 4 points should give you at least the third place, at least.
Yeah, it is a little
But
harsh when some of the other third placed teams ended on 3 points. So
yeah,
they did better than other third place teams did. But yeah, it's about what position in the group you finish. It's not about how many points you have.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
they were just unfortunate enough. I mean, it was the first game really where they lost 3-0 to Romania, which that was a
Which I,
huge surprise, really.
yeah,
But I think that did it for them because to lose 3-0 in your first game, you're up against it with the goal difference. And that's what's ended up being their downfall
yep.
and the reason that
So
they
the
finished in
Czechoslovakia
fourth.
was able to get through.
Um, Belgium, what do you make of Belgium this tournament?
Belgium reminds me of Ivory Coast in the late 2000s. You have all those players. You have Drogba, you have Yaya Toure, you have all those players. Hey, you're not able to win the tournament. Very disappointing. I mean, they finished second here, but if they were in the tougher group, they're probably going to be last. To be honest, they've been terrible. With all the players they have, De Bruyne. I don't know what happened to Courtois. Do you know what happened to him?
He wasn't in the squad, and I don't know exactly what it was. I know
He
he was
played the
injured for
Champions
a
League
lot of.
final. Like,
I know he was injured a lot of the season, but I feel like I read somewhere that he had some kind of a falling out with the coaching staff or something along those lines, and he
that makes
opted not
sense.
to play. Which, I mean,
Wow, it's
I
a
think
huge loss for them.
it is a huge loss. Yeah.
Yeah, Courtois is
So
amazing. He's one of the best right now.
yeah, absolutely. And I think at these kind of tournaments too, having a good goalkeeper can make a huge difference as well because it's in the little details in these tournaments, especially with international football. It's just the fine margins and the little small details that make a difference. And having a having someone like Courtois in goal could be the difference between staying in or going out.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, credit to Romania. I mean, I thought they were great. I thought they played really, really well. Um, they they were one of the teams that was just like playing with no fear. They were just, we're gonna go out there. Nobody expects us to do anything. We're just gonna give it everything we've got. And I like seeing that. That was
Mhm.
one of the more positive stories I think from the group stages so far. Um, you know,
Absolutely.
and credit to them for finishing top of that group. I mean, it's great for them.
All right, let's go to move more to Group F. The last
Yeah,
group we have Portugal first, Turkey, Georgia, and Czechia.
Yeah,
So I mean, I'm not surprised, honestly. I think that was what I predicted, but I did not see Georgia finishing third. Definitely didn't see that. I thought it was going to be finished dead last. Portugal, top of the group. I mean, the last game didn't really matter. You know, they were going to finish top of the group regardless. So I think they didn't really care.
yeah,
And in Turkey, not surprised. I knew they were going to come back to this tournament because they had something to prove after being terrible the past 2 or 3 Euros.
hmm
And then Georgia, really surprised they finished fourth, but they deserve third. Sorry, but they deserve to be there. Really.
yeah. Well, I mean, they were another team. I think kind of like Romania, where you just see they don't have any fear about the way that they play. They just no one expects us to do anything. We're just gonna go out there, and we're gonna give it everything and leave everything out on the pitch. And I mean, credit to them for getting the results that they needed to. I mean, getting the draw against Czechia and then the win against Portugal. I mean, yeah, Portugal did rest a lot of their players because they had already qualified as group winners, but you'd still expect a lot of those backup players in that Portuguese squad to do the job to beat or at least draw with Georgia. But I mean, fair play to them. It was great to see them win and to play against one of the top teams in the world and get a win. I mean, that's amazing for them at their first ever Euros as well. To kind of
Definitely.
get out of the group at the first time of asking is kind of cool. And their fans, from what I've seen too, their fans have been amazing as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, shall we take a look at the uh, knockouts then? So
Yeah.
the I'm just gonna pull this up here on my.
Yeah. So the knockouts were very interesting. Some games were really good. Some games were like we kind of predicted, like the Spain game. But let's go in order. So let's go with Switzerland and Italy. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I think I predicted Italy to be there. I'm one of 16 teams. But yeah, Switzerland dominated the whole game. I don't know if you watched the game, Elliot.
I did watch the game, yeah.
You did? Yeah, I know you were cheering for Switzerland, so your wish came true. But yeah, they are a team to watch now. I think they can go all the way for what I've seen at least. The way they've been dominating, they play against Germany. The way they played against Germany, it was great, and the way they're playing against Italy, it was really impressive. Uh, but yeah, what do you think about the game?
Yeah, I don't think there was really ever a moment where Italy looked like they were going to get a goal. I think Switzerland were just so dominant. They absolutely deserved their goal in the first half. And then they just came right out and scored, what was it, 50 seconds into the second half, something like that.
Yeah. Hmm.
And at that point, I think, based on the way that the game had gone, I felt Italy's not coming back. They're not going to get back into this. Um, and again, like I know, like we talked about earlier, you think of the great Italian teams of the past, but this group's just not it.
Yeah, and
And
then Italy, yeah, definitely.
yeah, absolutely massive amount of credit to Switzerland. Um, England playing them next. I'm quite nervous that
Yeah.
that's not going to go
The
well.
thing about this game is that Italy, I mean, they had some really good chances and they didn't put them away. And I don't know if you heard that 2-0 is like how you call it? It's like the lead that is the most dangerous lead because you're comfortable. Then when
Yeah,
it's 1-0, you have the urgency of like defending. You don't want to concede. But when you're at 2-0, you're okay, it's fine if they score another goal. It's fine. And usually, whenever a team that is two down scores another goal, most of the time they tie like within the next 5 minutes. I don't know if you noticed that. It doesn't happen every time, but statistically, if you look at all the football games, whenever a team is two down, this is like the most dangerous lead for some reason. Especially whenever there's like 30 minutes left in the game for the other team to come back.
yeah,
So I mean they were not able to put the ball in the back of the net. So I mean Susan deserved to go through,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Um, then the second round of 16 game, Germany against Denmark. I think Germany maybe had that a little bit tougher than they would have liked, but they got the job done in the end. Um, I was not able to watch that game, but um, again, continuing with the theme of this being kind of a crazy Euros, having a big delay because of the weather. I didn't see that coming in Germany.
Yeah, uh, very interesting. But yeah, I mean, player safety first. I understand.
Yeah,
You have to take care of the players. And then, I mean, the game was interesting. Was actually very fun to watch. Denmark really put up a fight, but Germany, like I predicted, I still think they're gonna win the tournament. Um, they came in and they did what they had to do, and they won the game.
yeah,
It's like the Germany that we're used to. You know what I mean? It's
hmm
finally Germany, and I mean, I'm kind of happy to see that because that's how we grew up watching Germany, or like the great teams. Be the great teams. Sometimes it's nice to see it again. And 2-0, they did what they had to do. But I'm looking forward to seeing the next game that they're
yeah.
gonna play. They're gonna
They,
be playing against.
I know there was a lot of talk about some of the refereeing decisions in the Germany Denmark game. Surprise, surprise! It was a Premier League referee, so not surprised. Not
Was it
surprised that there was.
Taylor?
It was Michael Oliver.
Oh,
Yeah,
Michael Oliver is not as bad as Anthony Taylor, man. Anthony Taylor is just terrible.
yeah. But I think. I mean, I think they're all bad. But anyway.
Yeah, Oliver is pretty
Um,
bad too.
um.
And in the game,
Right.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The. Well. Yeah. This is the one that I just about aged 10 years watching. England against Slovakia. I mean, it was just. It was awful. It was an awful experience for me as an England
Yeah,
fan.
yeah, it
I
was a
um we just they did the team didn't look like they were that bothered. It looked like they were just passing it slow around the back, sloppy passing, giving the ball away, and Slovakia took their opportunity in the first half and they fully deserved it. I mean, England didn't have a shot on target until until they scored in the 95th minute. That was their first shot on
You
target in the entire
serious?
game. That
That
was
was
their
the
first
first shot on
that was their
target?
first shot on target in
Wow,
the
didn't
entire
know about
game.
that stat.
Um,
Wow.
it it was so disappointing, and I think at half time, every England fan and even the analysts on the TV, the pundits, were saying he needs to make changes at half time. I don't know why he didn't, and the fact that he put the same 11 out after half time was
I remember
crazy
you
to
said
me. I mean,
complain about that. Yeah.
how is it that everybody else in the world can see that we need change except the
Mhm.
manager of our team? It's ridiculous, really. But we got to that point where you see the 6 minutes of stoppage time go up, and you think
It's over.
it's over. It felt like watching that Iceland game in 2016.
Yeah.
England were 1-0 up in that game, but ended up losing to Iceland, and that was very embarrassing. And
Yeah.
that was the end of Hodgson as England manager. And I kind of felt like this was going to be the same thing. There was going to be a lot of negativity in the media about England's performance, and rightfully so. Um, but we've got that Real Madrid DNA now with Bellingham. We got
Yep. He
that.
did what he had to do.
We got that last minute save the game type of player now.
I
Um,
really think that if he wins the Euros, he needs the Ballon d'Or.
I think so
I
too.
think he's been. I mean, that's all about what a Ballon d'Or is. And unfortunately, the past few years, has been. I don't know. The way they've been giving it away just hasn't been the way it's supposed to. I
Yeah.
think big impact player. Big impact player, the player that makes the most impact on the team and
Hmm.
takes them to winning titles. And I think he will deserve it for the season he had with Real Madrid, Champions League, and if he wins the Euros, the first time in ever for England, and the first major tournament in over 50 years.
Hmm.
No, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, right, almost 60 years. Like, come on.
Hmm.
I mean, it's England we're talking about. They need to win something. So if Bellingham is able to give that to them, I think that he deserves the Ballon d'Or. Me,
Yeah.
but yeah, the game was honestly boring, to be honest. I mean, I was expecting England with all the players they had to make it hard for Slovakia. I mean, no offense to Slovakia, but it's not Spain or Germany.
Yeah,
And I
they
don't know, man.
really,
I don't know what's going on with Gareth Southgate, what he's doing with his team, but I mean, he wins the tournament, all of us will be wrong.
yeah.
And yeah,
But I don't know. I think at times I felt like, is this guy trying to sabotage us? Like, is he trying to get himself fired? I mean, that's what it felt like, because it's like the way that the team's set up, the way that we played, that how long he waited to make some positive changes was crazy. But you know what? In the end, it's about the result. Bellingham overhead kick after pretty much doing nothing for 95 minutes, saving Southgate's job for at least for one more game.
yeah, it's
And
one
then,
more game. Yeah,
Kane getting the 2-1 goal pretty much immediately after kickoff in extra time. I was disappointed that we kind of sat back and defended, and I think we had the players on the pitch at that point to go for a third, which would have made it a lot more comfortable. Um, but Southgate's not going to do that. Southgate's going to go one goal ahead and then protect it, because that's what Southgate does.
yeah,
um, but yeah, Spain against Georgia is the next game. That was another one that I did watch. That was a fun one. I enjoyed watching that one.
yeah. I mean, it's the Spain. I mean, I feel like finally Spain has a team that can actually challenge for a title for the first time in a long time. What a team! Wow. Um, it's gonna be a very good game in the quarterfinals. To be honest, I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely not missing it. But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
Spain.
see. 4-1. I'm not. Nobody's surprised. I'm not surprised by the score. Georgia, they did a great tournament. They should be very proud of themselves. And that's the thing about the beautiful game is that I mean, winning, obviously everybody wants to win the tournament, but at the end of the day, when a smaller footballing nation like Georgia goes to the round of 16, it's a bigger achievement than if Germany wins the tournament. Let's just be
Hmm.
honest, it's a bigger achievement. So I think that if I were Georgian, I would be very proud of my country too. Nobody expected them to be here. Even qualify for the Euros, that's already a huge deal for them. And go
Yeah.
to round of 16, that's a bigger achievement than probably the winner of the Euros this year. So
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I think, I mean, Spain pretty much dominated that game. I don't really think there's anything Georgia could have done differently to counteract that. Spain were just too good. Um, and they ended up getting the goals that they needed in the end. But yeah, I like you said, I think if you're Georgia, you got to be really proud of your country and how those players played for their country in this tournament, and it was what it's all about. It's great to see. Um, yeah, so we there's still two round of 16 games to be played that we haven't had yet.
Yeah.
We'll kind of look at those in a minute, but there were two games that happened today as we record today. It's Monday, July the 1st. France against Belgium. You said you watched that game earlier.
Yeah.
I was not able to watch it, but it sounds like it was a bit boring.
Yeah, it was a little bit boring, but I mean, that's kind of expected when the two great teams go against each other. But I felt like it was the France actually dominated the game. The possession and the chances, they had so many shots. Thuram was just missing all of his shots for some reason. And Mbappe just wasn't Mbappe, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to bend the mask, but I was expecting him to be the player of the tournament. And he's definitely not going to be the player of the tournament unless he scored maybe like a hat trick in the next game and hat trick in the semifinal and hat trick in the final, then maybe yeah. But
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen either. But yeah, definitely France and Belgium, good game, and France got lucky with another own goal again, and that's all that made a difference. Very sad for Belgium, but only one team can go through, and it was France that went through. So
yeah. I
but it's a
mean,
wake up call for France because now they're going to be playing as a big team, a bigger team even, in
mhm,
the quarterfinals. So they have to sort this. They have to score goals. They
yeah,
cannot rely on own goals to win the tournament. So Mbappe has to wake up. Thuram has to wake up. Griezmann has to wake. They have to score goals. They cannot keep going on like that. Otherwise, they're gonna lose. Um, they're not even gonna make it to the finals like that. So
Yeah. Well, and that's like kind of what we were referencing to earlier is two own goals and a penalty. That's what they've got to show for themselves this tournament so far. um, and they're in the quarterfinals, so it's worked
yeah,
for them. But yeah, if they want
yeah,
to
it's
if
all
they
that
want to
matters. Yeah.
if they want to keep going further into the tournament, I think they've got to improve. Belgium disappointing. I think that's kind of what we've got used to, though. Really, I mean, Belgium, they always have a lot of talent, but they just can't seem to get it together at major tournaments. To me, it feels a little bit like that England team in the 2000s, 2010s, where you had, Beckham, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, John Terry,
Hmm.
Rio Ferdinand, Rooney, Owen. Like you had all of these players that were just incredible players, but they couldn't play together in the same team for some reason, and it just would never quite work for them. And that's kind of how I feel with Belgium as well. They've just not quite not quite been good enough.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other exciting game, which I think was the more exciting game today, Portugal and Slovenia. Bit of a roller coaster if your name is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Wow. Yeah, it's. I wasn't expecting him to go to the extra time, and he went to extra time, and then he had a penalty in the last minute of the first half of the extra time, and he missed it.
Hmm.
I mean, he didn't miss it. The goalkeeper stopped it,
It was
and
saved,
it was
yeah.
all black. Let's just mention that was all black from Slovenia, the Atletico Madrid's goalkeeper, and they. I mean, he's played against Ronaldo for years, so he knows his penalty. So that helped a little bit, I think. And yeah, but they were lucky enough to go to the PKs, and then their goalkeeper stopped all the penalties, three of them. It wasn't like a miss; it was all of them stopped by the Portuguese goalkeeper. So
That's incredible.
that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier too about the difference a top goalkeeper can make. Um, yeah, I mean, winning on you never want to get to penalties in these kind of tournaments, but if you're going to get there, that's about as perfect as it can be. Is to score all of your penalties and have your goalie save all of the opposition's penalties. Really,
Hmm.
really can't be much better than that. Yeah, so tomorrow we've got two more games. We have Romania against the Netherlands, and we have Austria against Turkey. I as much as I think Romania were great in the group stage, I think Netherlands are going to have too much for them. I think it might
Yeah,
be a lot
clearly.
closer than people expect.
Hmm.
Um, but I do see Netherlands going through in this one. And then Austria against Turkey, I see Austria taking that one. Again, I think Turkey will give it a good go, but Austria just seem to be really well organized and efficient, and I don't see them not winning, to be honest. But what
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I think that I see Netherlands definitely beating Romania, unless it's an upset, which would be great. We all love upsets whenever we're not the other team. And then Austria, I think Austria's going to beat Turkey. I think Austria is going to be the dark horse of this tournament. So I see them going through. And yeah, that's my prediction.
Yeah, should we look at the quarterfinals?
Oh my goodness. I'm
So
looking forward to those, Elliot. Those are going to be
Friday,
good.
the ones coming up on Friday are going to be really really good.
Wow.
Spain against Germany, and then Portugal against France.
I
Those are
think
tough to call.
I see Germany going through. I see Germany going through. I see it's going to be Germany. And as much as I love Portugal to win, I still think France is going to make it to the semifinals. So I see Germany and France in the semifinals,
Hmm. I
and
think
then yeah, and then
um,
I think England. I think England's gonna is gonna like finally wake up. Honestly, it's gonna be a wake up call for them, and I think they're gonna go to the semis. What about you?
I really hope you're right on England. um, yeah, they just something's got to change because it's not been working, and maybe almost going out in the manner that we did in the last game is going to be the wake up call that Southgate needed. I'd love to think I'm right about that, but at the same time, there's this part in the back of my mind that's going, it's Southgate. He's just going to do the same thing again. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I think if we play like we played against Slovakia the other day, we're done. I think Switzerland will be too good. Watching them how they played against Italy, they look confident. They look like a squad that plays well together. Um, we definitely don't look like that at the moment, at least not with the way that we're set up tactically. So I don't know. I hope that we can get past them, and I hope that we can win. But I'm not really very confident based on what I've seen so far at the tournament. Um, I think Spain against Germany. I think that's going to be a really really good one. I think Spain. I think Spain have been the best team in the tournament so far, personally.
Definitely.
But Germany have the home advantage. They've got the crowd behind them. That's extra motivation for a team when they're hosting the tournament. This is one that could be decided on penalties, I think. But if honestly, my gut feeling is I think Spain's gonna just about get past and win that one. And I think whoever wins that Spain Germany quarterfinal is gonna be in the final. I think it's gonna be one of those two teams. Whichever one of those teams wins that game is gonna be in the final.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Portugal and France as well. I think both teams have been a little underwhelming compared to what we would have expected from them. Like you said, and like we were saying earlier too, France need to find their scoring form. They've just not been able to score. If that doesn't change for France, I see Portugal beating them. But at the same time, realistically, I think it's gonna come together for France
Yeah.
eventually, and I think ultimately they're going to probably win. I think it's going to be a close one, maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1 or, you know, after extra time kind of thing or maybe even penalties again. I mean, I think both of those games on Friday, those quarterfinals could go the distance, go the full 120 minutes. But yeah, I don't know. And then between Netherlands and Austria, since that's what we kind of picked as the other potential
Yeah.
quarterfinal, I think we got to stick with Austria. I don't know why. I just have a feeling
Yeah.
that there's those teams that make it deep into the tournament by pulling off a few surprises, and I think they're going to be one that I think they'll be in the semifinals.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's gonna be Austria, Netherlands. I think Austria's gonna go through, and then I mean, let's just finish the
Yeah,
table, right?
we may as
So
well.
in the other side of the table, I predicted Germany and France. I think Germany is gonna go to the final, and then I predicted England and Austria, and I think Austria is gonna go in the final. Yeah, that's
Okay.
my prediction. I think I really meant by the dark horse will be Austria. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm not too sure. I mean, Netherlands and Austria, I think it's gonna be very close. It can go really either way, but I think that Austria is my dark horse. So I think Austria's gonna go through. So it's gonna be Austria and Germany. Sorry, Austria and England. And yeah, I think it's gonna be Austria and Germany in the final, and then Germany's gonna win the tournament.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
about you,
know.
Alec?
I know. I had Spain winning that quarterfinal. Spain against France is what I would probably put as my semi-final, and I think the way that both teams have played, I think Spain's gonna win that. If that's what it comes to. Um, so I'd see Spain in the final on that side of the draw. I'd love to say that England are going to get to the semi-finals. I think England against Austria is going to be a tough one. I think it's probably going to be another painful watch for an England, especially as an England fan.
Yeah.
um, but you know, I think we get the job done. I'm going to back us to get it done and get to the final. England Spain final. I mean,
England.
I want England to win, but probably not going to happen.
Yeah, that's
I
how I
think,
felt. Whenever, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I think Spain. I don't know. For me, they're my pick to win the tournament now. I think they've just been I've been very impressed from what I've seen from them, and I think they're going to go all the way.
Yeah, I think that's how I felt whenever Ivory Coast was playing. I wanted Ivory Coast to win the tournament, but in my heart I was like, no, we suck. We're not gonna win the tournament. And then after we beat Senegal, that's when I felt that we really had a chance. And I think I was backing them, but in the final, I thought Nigeria was gonna beat us, and then we won. So, I mean, we'll see. I told you this. I don't know the feeling of like when your country's playing and it's like one of the favorites to win the tournament.
Hmm.
But yeah, I really, I think it would be good for as a neutral point of view for England to win a tournament. To be honest, it's gonna be great for the sport. To be honest, and that's my opinion, but I still
Yeah,
think Germany is the team I pick. Germany and Austria final, and I think Germany is gonna win it at home. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
interesting. Yeah, okay. Let's pause here for a few minutes, and then we'll talk about Copa America. Okay, we're gonna finish up here just by talking a little bit about Copa America. Tournament's a little bit further behind than the Euros is because they started a week or so later than the Euros did. We don't have as much to talk about for that, but again, let's just kind of go by group so far, see kind of what we're thinking about how it's gone. Group A with Argentina, Canada, Chile, and Peru. I think that's gone more or less as we expected. The one surprise for me is Canada over Chile.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not too surprised because Canada has a really good coach now, Jesse March. I don't know if you know him. He coached Leeds in the Premier League two
Hmm.
seasons ago. So I think that they're a good team, and I mean they deserve to be second. Honestly, they actually play really well. I don't know if you watched any of the games, but they played really well against Argentina. Argentina really struggled to score against them. So I think Canada is onto something. But yeah, Chile very disappointed. They didn't score a single goal in the whole tournament, which is like what?
Yeah.
Peru too. Come on, it's South America. Come on, like now they cannot feel superior, so much superior to Concacaf. If Canada is able to finish above Chile and Peru, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And obviously Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina winning all their games, that's not really a
Yeah,
surprise.
yeah, not a surprise at all.
Um,
Yeah,
they've done what they needed to do. Group B, we had
yeah,
Venezuela, Ecuador, Mexico, and Jamaica. And I'm reading these out in order of how they finished. I mean, the shock there really, I think, is Mexico
yeah.
of them exiting at the group stage.
I mean, every time Mexico plays in the United States, they're pretty much playing at home. And I'm not saying that just to be mean or rude, but that's just the truth.
Yeah.
The Mexican community in the U.S. is huge,
Hmm.
especially whenever they organize a tournament, they make sure they put it in like California, Texas, Arizona. That's where Mexico plays. So they're pretty much playing at home. So they have no excuse. It's embarrassing to finish third in such a big tournament. And it's so sad about the decline of the Mexican team. Mexico has always been great. I mean, I know I haven't lived for that long, but for the years I've been on Earth, Mexico has always been a top team, and then they're not even able to go to the not round of 60 quarterfinals, the Copa America. Sad, but Jamaica, nobody's surprised there. I didn't see them winning a single game. Yeah, I really thought Ecuador was going to finish first, so Venezuela finishing first is very surprising.
This one of the few games I have watched at this tournament was Venezuela against Ecuador, which I think was the opening game of for both of those teams in that group. And Ecuador had a player sent off, then they went ahead, um, but Venezuela pushed and fought, and in the end, having the extra man on the pitch, I think made a difference for them. And that's probably why they won the group. I mean, they won all three of their games, which is impressive. Same points total as Argentina, which can't really fault them for that.
Yeah,
So credit to them. And then yeah, Ecuador as well. I think had a pretty good tournament. I think I probably like we both predicted. I think that they would finish top and that Mexico would finish second. But great for Venezuela that they not only made it out of the group, but they finished top. So good for them. Yeah, these are the two.
yeah,
These are the two. So Group C and D, we haven't. Was there's still
yeah.
yet one more game yet to play for these. Currently, as it stands, Group C: Uruguay, United States, Panama, and Bolivia. With those teams, so Uruguay and United States playing each other, and Panama and Bolivia playing each other tonight. Uh, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, if USA doesn't beat Uruguay, I mean, they still have a chance even if they don't win. If Bolivia wins the game against Panama, they're still gonna go through with 3 points because of the goal difference. But most likely they have to at least draw to have a bigger chance because if they lose against Uruguay and Panama and Bolivia tie, US is out. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously the biggest chance they just have to win. If they win, they go through. They finish second of the group. So Uruguay, I think this is what's gonna happen. I think Uruguay is not gonna care as much, to be honest, because they're already going through as a term winners. But I really don't. An upset can happen. They can tie the game and Panama goes through, which will be a disaster, to be honest, for the
Mm-hmm.
US. And
Yeah,
the reason why they're in this position is because they got a red card against Panama, and they played pretty much the whole game against 11 people, so 10
yeah,
against 11, so, which
and
is
that
awful.
was. I, I mean, I think they got the win against Bolivia in that opening game, and I think they would, their favorite. They would have been favorites to beat Panama, but that, yeah, like you said, that red card changed it. And then up against Uruguay, who have been very impressive, won both of their matches, scored 8 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, that's insane.
I think it's going to be a tough ask for the United States, and I think if you're Panama right now, you're probably very very pleased with how this is going,
Yeah,
especially as you you'd expect Panama to beat Bolivia. I mean, Bolivia have not been great. You know,
yeah.
not
They've
scored.
no offense
They've
to
not
Bolivia.
scored a
They've
single
never
goal. Oh, I I think United States are going to be exiting at the group stage, unfortunately for them. But
Yeah.
I think Uruguay is going to be too strong for them, and I think Panama's going to beat Bolivia. But disappointing, and the hosts going out in the group stage
Hmm.
doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen every now and then. And I think
Yep, it
there
happens.
was a lot of talk about this U.S. team being, you know, a strong team, being contenders for going far in World Cups and things like that. But I think they've been disappointing over the last couple of years in terms of how they've progressed. And
I mean, losing games happen. Any team can lose a game. It just depends on how you react and are you able to pass go to the next round. That's the biggest thing. Are you
yeah,
able to finish second or first of your group? Oh, yeah, you lost against Panama. It happens. It was a terrible game. You got a red card. Yeah, Panama just outplayed you. Now you have a chance to beat Uruguay. You're going through. Simple as that. You just have to beat them. So we'll see what happens. But very
yeah,
exciting to see.
yeah.
Really.
And then the final group is Group D, as that stands: Colombia top, then Brazil, then Costa Rica and Paraguay. I mean, Colombia have already qualified. Brazil, unless there's a massive swing in goal difference, which I don't think there will
Yeah.
be, they'll qualify. So I don't think there's really going to be any surprises in that group. Colombia and Brazil. I think Colombia are going to finish as the group winners, which I believe when we had discussed this before, we we did expect that Colombia would be up there
Finish first. Yeah.
because they have a good team. Oh yeah, and Brazil and Colombia play each other tonight, so really a draw in that game gets them both through. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't think they've not really got a reason to fully go for it, either team, because more than
Yeah.
likely they're both already through anyway.
Yeah.
Um, Not surprising
I
really
think
for
it's gonna be a draw.
Paraguay.
Honestly, I think Colombia and Brazil are gonna draw. Nobody's going to really care as much. I mean, I would not be surprised to see Brazil win the game because they're probably gonna try to avoid Uruguay. Honestly, I mean, you'd
Hmm.
rather play the U.S. against or Panama than Uruguay. So
Right.
maybe there's an the incentive to finish first of the group after seeing how Group C, because whoever finishes first is playing either the U.S. or Panama.
Yeah.
These are the two teams.
Hmm.
So you rather play those teams against Uruguay. So I think because of that, maybe we're gonna have a more exciting game. To be honest,
Yeah,
I think it's gonna end up with a draw, and Brazil is gonna be playing as Uruguay in the quarters. That's my opinion. I think.
that's gonna be an interesting one. Yeah, I think you're right too. I think Colombia haven't really got a reason to go for it. Brazil maybe a little bit more, but yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna end as a draw. Both those teams go through, and then we'll kind of
Let's
see
get to
from
the
there.
knockouts.
Yeah. So looking at the knockouts that we have already confirmed, Argentina against Ecuador on
Sorry.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think Argentina's going to win that one.
Yeah, unless like something really bad happens, like a red card or something. I mean, Ecuador is a great team, but I really see Argentina going to the semis very easily. Honestly, I mean,
Yeah,
we'll see. And then Canada and Venezuela. Who do you think is going to go through?
I think Venezuela's probably going to win that one. I think Canada will give it a really good go, but I think Venezuela's. I don't know. I just think from. I guess from what I saw in the game of them that I watched, and yeah, they were playing 11 against 10, but they looked like a pretty good team, and to finish top of their group, I think it's going to be a tough one for Canada.
I think Canada's going to go through. I
Yeah,
think it's going to go like maybe in extra time or PKs. I just there's something about this Canadian team. I think they're going to go to the semis. Honestly.
cool.
Okay, the other quarterfinals. I think we predicted the two teams were going to be uh,
Yeah, Uruguay and
like,
Brazil, and
mhm,
then
Colombia.
Panama and Colombia, or United States and Colombia. But I think
I
one
mean,
of the
I
teams.
predicted USA. I think you predicted Panama.
Yeah,
So I think I'll see. I see Uruguay, Brazil. Oof, that's going to be a really good game. And I think Uruguay is going to go through. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've not been convinced with Brazil lately.
yeah,
And I know they had a really good game, but again, they played against Costa Rica. Like, no
mm,
offense to them, but it's a CONCACAF team that hasn't really done much the past few years. So I think that Brazil is gonna lose against Uruguay, and I think USA is gonna lose against Colombia. So I think that the semi is gonna be Uruguay and Colombia.
yeah. I agree with you on what the semifinal is going to be. I actually do think Uruguay will beat Brazil, but kind of the same reason you said. I think Uruguay have just looked too good, and Brazil have just not been that convincing. I think I think Uruguay will have too much for them. And then whoever Colombia ends up facing, whether that be the US or Panama, I think it probably will be Panama, depending on how the results go tonight. But I think Colombia's going to be too strong for either one of those teams that gets through. So we'd be looking at Uruguay and Argentina, right, in the semifinal. And
Yep. So you have, I think yeah, you wanted, you think that Venezuela and Argentina is gonna be the semis, and also you also said that Uruguay against Colombia. So
yeah,
and I predicted Argentina, Canada. I think Argentina is gonna go to the final, and then I predicted Uruguay and Colombia, and I think Colombia is going to go in the final.
yeah, and I actually agree with you. I think Argentina will win their semifinal. I think Colombia will win that semifinal as well, and I think we'll see Argentina against Colombia final. So we kind of both in line on that one, even though they're
Yeah,
getting there slightly different ways. I, I can't see anything but Argentina winning it, to be honest. To be completely
I'm
honest.
predicting an upset. I think Colombia looks really good this year, and Argentina has been great, but yeah, I definitely see Argentina go to the final unless something really bad happens. I don't see anybody stopping them in that side of the table. But Colombia, I think, will do an upset. It's probably gonna go to maybe a last minute goal or PKs. But I think our Colombia is gonna win the Copa America this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that just about does it for today.
Hmm.
We have got some more football to look forward to. We got a lot of good games to look forward to. We'll have to make
Yeah.
sure we remember what our predictions were next time we record. So when we talk
Yeah.
about how everything unfolded by the time the tournaments are over, we can look back and see how right we were or how wrong we were.
Yeah.
But
And then after that, we're gonna have a exciting season ahead. I know we're gonna take probably a break because there won't be much football between after those tournaments and then the new season. But looking forward to more to hear about more from you. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the
Yeah,
comments. If you enjoy what we do, feel free to subscribe. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we have presence on TikTok and Instagram and other social
Instagram.
medias
Yeah,
as well. So we'd love to have you be part of what we're doing here. But yeah, for now, we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching, and take care. Enjoy the rest of the Euros and the rest of Copa America.
yeah. I'll talk to you guys soon.